What's up, everyone? I all hope you're having a blessed day. I've got another banging video for you today with one of my favorite animes of all time, a very underrated gem. I would think most people should definitely watch it, and this is World Trigger. But specifically, we're talking about World Trigger having one of the best power systems in all of anime. People love chakra, people love devil fruits, but I want to shout a special mention to Trion and Triggers, where they add a new sense of battle, strategy, and also power, which formulates into one of the best power systems with so much diversity, teamwork, and different formations that can be built. Let's get straight in the video so you can really see what's up with it.
Ryotsu, chakra, nen, magic, fire, apparently. In the end, they all mean the same thing. Power. In Battle Shonen, power is known by different names and comes in many forms. They act as fuels for epic battles, tapestry to paint the stakes, and instruments of every character's very will. In essence, most action shows tend to utilize supernatural abilities. Much like other narrative elements, power systems are tools, whether they be fast and loose like Fairy Tail's magic, or complex like Cursed Energy. And these tools live and die by their rules, how they are followed, and how they are used. Some shows die, and others just know how to thrive. Let's get it on.
Let's get it.
World Trigger has gotten a bit more popular nowadays thanks to its second and third season, but it's still lesser known in the West than others in its genre, and I blame every single one. Seriously though, this show is fun and engaging, and I cannot recommend it enough. The premise of the show is pretty simple. Basically, aliens from other dimensions, yes, aliens, keep up, called neighbors occasionally attack our world, particularly a cozy spot in Japan called Mikado City. The counterforce of this threat are our protagonists, who are soldiers for the organization called Border, a defense guard for the Earth that the neighbors have to pay for, just as God intended.
Trigger
open my video? I'm the captain now.
World Trigger's a simple story, but make no mistake, this show is big ballin'. On top of having a mostly decent plot structure and endearing characters, the best aspect of World Trigger has to be its power system. Trigger.
Trigger.
Yes, I know, clever, but it gets better, I promise. Triggers are essentially alien weapons the characters use to fight back against the neighbors, powered by an energy source called Trion. Triggers can be anything from guns, swords, cubes, and whatever else. To use these weapons, the characters undergo a transformation where they recreate their bodies made out of Trion, while their real bodies are in an Animor-style pocket dimension. If you know, you know. The most interesting aspect of World Trigger's power system is that what the characters are using aren't treated completely like superpowers. In fact, they're kind of treated like a mystical sword in the stone and more like a loadout in an FPS game. Everyone on Border has mostly the same access to the same tools. You can be a sniper, a gunner, or you study the blade. Anyone can fit any role.
That's what I particularly like about World Trigger. In a lot of other series, people are only limited to a unique set of abilities, so it kind of makes an unfair advantage depending on what ability you have. Let's say in like, I don't know, Naruto, if you have a certain water type ability, you might not be able to use fire style jutsu, and this can sometimes create an unfair battle situation. Maybe not the best example, but you get the point. When you have a power system where everyone has access to all powers, and then from there you can perfectly tailor what powers you choose to your own fighting style, I think it makes a much more balanced power system where when somebody wins, it's not because they're overwhelmingly strong or they got like a broken power compared to everyone else. It's because they're able to use they managed to tailor their set of skill sets for them for their personal self in order to utilize it to their fullest ability. And by that, it really shows it's a matter of skill, wit, and ability usage, not just simply around who is the strongest, who is the fastest, who has the best ability. And it's one of the best aspects I definitely would say is about World Trigger. But let's keep going.
Potentially, but they're determined by two things other than general physicality, but that's a different subject. Those two being Trion amount and fighting preference. Trion amount is a bit less self-explanatory. See, Trion levels don't just determine how powerful your weapons end up being, but also how many Trion weapons you can equip yourself with. The lower the amount of Trion you have, the fewer weapons you can get, given how a good chunk of your Trion needs to maintain your energy body. So the best thing to do is pick a loadout that best fits how you consume energy. Any of the roles I mentioned before are common, but when you see a character with all this stuff in mind, it tells you exactly what kind of fighter they are. For example, take our main character Osamu Mikumo. Osamu, even to this day, is the weakest character in the whole show on his own. No one, and I mean no one, other than actual trainee jobbers, is weaker than this man. This guy is fresh off the boat with the lowest Trion level in the series. So what's his loadout? His main weapon is the Ray Gust, a melee weapon with the highest level of defense among Border triggers, even compared to barriers. Melee triggers don't suck up a lot of Trion in general, which with the added defense keeps him in fights a bit longer. He equips it with the thruster optional trigger for surprise attacks, pinning maneuvers, or to get out of dodge. He distracts or makes strategic pot shots shots with the asteroid triggers. Asteroid's got the most base attack power out of any cube triggers in Border, but it's usually easy to dodge. However, it's still a reliable distraction that keeps his hand free and strikes true without needing to be a good shot like Gunner's. And he can even...
Yeah, I know I said earlier that he who has the strongest is better, but obviously, as all power system, the volume of output you can do does slightly vary between different characters, and generally characters with more energy or energy reserves are stronger. Think of Naruto, for example, in Naruto Shippuden. He has the most volume of mana, chakra, so therefore he can effectively do the most jutsu, which is obviously seen by how much he can how many shadow clones he can actually summon. Similar here, but I feel like the discrepancy between the lowest amount and the average amount isn't as severe as it is in Naruto. Compared to, obviously, we have our Bingo Chica, who does have the most mana Tryon in the series. So in that respect, as a three-man team, I feel it definitely balanced out fairly, where they have the weakest, the lowest amount of Tryon user with the highest amount of Tryon user. So in that respect, I think it does balance out overall when you consider three-man teams.
them for traps. Lastly are the wires he starts using in Season 2, which can not only trip up enemies, but also work in tandem with his teammates and act as markers for enemy locations, all while not draining much Tryon. So TLDR, Osamu is nowhere near a heavy hitter, or much of a hitter at all. He lacks physical agility or talent for combat, and is usually kept in the background while he makes his plays. His setup is frugal, but practical, and this makes scenes where he gets to pop off even more hype because he earns those wins every step of the way, even when he gets help from his much more powerful teammates. You might be wondering though, why is he so weak? Is it possible to even get stronger in World Trigger? I mean, this thing's been going on for 3 seasons and some change, right? Yesn't. See, power progression in World Trigger isn't exactly linear. Pumping your muscles a bunch of times don't equal making bigger ki blasts or whatever. For the most part, once you are born with a certain Tryon level, you don't exactly leave that level for a very, very long time. You can get better, but the stat upgrades will be incredibly minor. Even some of the highest ranked agents in Border can have relatively average Tryon levels. Plus, in this show, no matter how strong you are, one good hit to your Tryon body and you're toast anyway, meaning the only aspect that matters is skill and strategy. Ai Kitora is a great example of this.
This is definitely what I really want to speak about. It's like, when I think about other power systems, like given Soul 11, for example, we naturally have the kind of concept of once you're a certain grade, you can't raise up. But in here, World Trigger, it kind of balances out where, yes, once you have a certain Tryon level, there is still a degree of you can't really improve it to a severe amount. Like, you're not going to suddenly go from having the lowest in Osamu's case to having the highest like Chica, but ultimately you can still improve it at least a little bit. But most importantly, it's more about the skill level, where even if you start with low skills, you can improve your skills to a point where you're now contending with A ranks or S ranks or whatever you want to call it, compared to other series where once you're stuck in it, you're stuck in it, and then only your character has only one person, only the protagonist is the only one to level up. Here, everyone has the same tool sets where the same degree of growth is really is really fair play. It's really balanced in the sense that just because you're weak, you're not stuck there forever, but also in the sense that growing stronger isn't something as simple as, oh, do X amount for this amount. It's a bit more complex than that. But it also really prioritizes the idea of skill and refinement, which is what I really like about this power system.
One of the first agents Osamu meets at the start of the series, and an A-rank Border agent, basically the second highest rank in the show. However, much like Osamu, she started out with a severely low Tryon level, and even currently, her levels are pretty average, but she takes things in a different direction. Her main trigger is the Scorpion, a blade with the highest attack power and versatility in Border. It's able to change shape and size for various scenarios, but with very low durability, so blocking attacks with it isn't exactly ideal, neither is stretching it too much. She and Osamu both use the asteroid trigger, but Kitora uses that trigger in the form of a gun, as gun triggers tend to shoot bullets faster with greater range, at the cost of bullet control. They both have Spider, but Kitora uses it to zip around the battlefield on her own for the most part. So it's very clear here, Kitora's setup is also very conservative, but she's styling it into a close combat rogue, foregoing defense to up her ability to end fights quickly and dash cancel like a motherfucker. Osamu aims to be a defensive strategist, Kitora's no bitch. Two characters with the same problems and access to the same tools, but dealing with their problems in different ways. It's so simple. It's so simple and much like
brilliant, right? This situation perfectly capitulates what's so great about it. No matter where you are, you can still use your powers and load up your build into be perfectly tailored so you can maximize the output. In this case, they both have relatively low try-in amounts, but depending on the pathway of how they want to align their abilities according to their strengths and natural abilities, they can amplify into a way where even Itora here, she's now in the A rank party, which is like I think top 7 in border, and that's only because they aren't able to participate in rank battles as much because of their basically the face are board in terms of the teams. But once again, showing like it's amazing the power system where it's able to balance out even the weakest of which other series has like one of the worst problems like low output. Even those characters aren't dead to rights, but they too have a chance to rise up the ranks, which I just love about in terms of the like how amazing it is as a power system.
It's mystifying compared to most shonen powers, but it nonetheless works well for showing characterization, not to mention world building. Because Border isn't just anime Hogwarts number 69, it's closer to a military organization, a fact that even affects the triggers themselves and how they are used. Experimental and unique weaponry are reserved for the top agents of the organization, while everyone else has to use standard issue gear, meaning in every fight involving another Border member, you know what they know about their weaponry and vice versa. So the game is often about who can capitalize on their strengths better, or who is worse at covering their weaknesses, not to mention teamwork being the
Apologies for pausing this lot, but I really, really do love World Trigger. And that's one of the aspects I believe we're going to be talking about future in this video, but I'll talk about it slightly here. And that is, in terms of Border and World Trigger, what's amazing about the power system is how emphasized how important the skill of or the trait of battle IQ is truly a factor here. In other series, they say, oh, this character's got high battle IQ, but they don't really show it in a way what's compelling, rather than the character's just smarter. But here, every fight is so important in terms of teamwork, prepping, proper teamwork, prepping for the battle, time of date, location, weather situation. There's so many factors they have to really tailor it into, especially in the in the in the rank battles where so many factors you can manipulate and take into account and consider in order to win a fight, which is so amazing. Not every fight can be tailored in the exact same way, which forces unique plays, different team formations, different triggers, changing out your loadout, all in the expense to trying to figure out the best way to handle this specific threat and this specific situation at this specific time. It is so complex in terms of the strategies, formations, combinations, techniques, skill, battle IQ, prep time, everything. And how many series really does this in full effect? A lot of series are on the situation where every battle is the exact same place. Think about Dragon Ball Z. The time of day makes no difference. The location makes no difference. The kind of techniques the opponent uses rarely makes a difference. Similar for other shows. But to trigger every part of the aspect of the fight has to be considered if you really want to maximize your abilities in order to highlight your strength and weaken your enemies and take advantage of their weaknesses. And that all plays a part in every fight in this series, which makes it amazing.
Name of the game, and as they move higher up the ladder, they can make modifications to establish triggers. For example, this is the Kogetsu, standard melee weapon, equal attack, equal defense, all reliable. Simple. In Season 3, this mad lad, Ko Murakami, came up with an idea. Everyone will be fighting in a digital building complex with a working light system. So what if you turn out the lights and take the beam out of the saber? They won't know what hit them. And for the most part, they didn't. It's not some huge power-up, but it's a practical cosmetic change, yet one that isn't completely out of left field. You never know what to expect, but when you see it, there's not a hair out of place. It didn't completely decide the fight either, just up the stakes a shit ton, all just by changing the settings of a weapon. No different from a sniper getting a better nozzle or how a soldier modifies their knife. And again, anyone can do this. It simply depends on who thinks of it first. And most importantly, how those measures are overcome. The higher up the totem pole you go, the more likely you are to see agents with clever mods or usage of their triggers. It only takes something very small to push you so much further, all while working with the same weapon from the same organization with just enough room to improvise. And all this is set up for when the real show starts, when they have to fight alien trigger users. Unlike our heroes, the neighbor triggers are much more weird and diverse, so individual in function that they barely mesh with one another, and they are extremely powerful. These guys are what would be more in line for any character in a typical shonen story, but in World Trigger, they are raid bosses in a video game, adversaries with adversaries with patterns, weapons, and abilities you don't have, with weaknesses you need to figure out just to survive a little bit longer. Very few of these baddies can be stopped by a single character as well, which places teamwork and strategy as an even greater priority. It really feels like the characters are fighting back against much more powerful and advanced civilizations with cooperation and ingenuity. No other point in the series demonstrates this better than the Afto Crater invasion arc. Neighbors from the
combination and ingenuity. I really want to highlight this because this really encapsulates, not even encapsulates, it combines everything what I've said about the story together. A lot of other series, because of the linear growth in abilities, X character becomes so strong, but everyone else becomes kind of redundant. Think of Goku and Vegeta becoming so much more powerful than the Z fighters. Naruto and Sasuke becoming like the gap so wide what everyone else's contribution is basically pointless. But here, because of how much value there is in teamwork, working together, every character has a relative purpose in any given fight. Whether you're tanking, whether you're causing distractions, whether you're keeping the enemy off their feet, whether you're blinding them, or whether you're just using some support some other way. It's all such a fluid movement where everyone can really highlight all its abilities, and when you combine abilities, always remember it's not a simple addition of powers, it's more of a multiplication of powers, which makes it so good in terms of how more diverse the battle can really become, and really just makes it for an incredible watch of how they're going to do this, what else could they do this in a situation. Amazing.
dimension called Afto Crater inside a massive invasion on Mikado City, all to abduct its inhabitants and harvest their Tryon energy. Multiple major fights break out, each one of them deserving of their own video. Let's focus on one. This guy, Raminane, is a neighbor who seemingly has all the cards. This goon has got high Tryon amount, strong shields, and basically every shooting-based trigger we've seen so far on, like, all the steroids.
Tastes like shit.
On the good guy side, we got 2 frontline attackers, 1 A-rank shooter, and a bunch of gunner and sniper scrubs sprawled out on the battlefield. So how do they win?
It's incredible
well, a lot of it's
because you have to
dedicated
make
simple
do with the
misdirection.
resources.
The straight fight would be
You
complete
have to
suicide.
make use with the resources and the team people you have on the time, and you have to devise a battle plan on the spot. It's just so good. Go watch Red Trigger.
So every move made was done to divert Raminane's attention. The shooter creates a smoke screen, giving the 2 attackers time to put pressure on his defense before he could fire any shots. Midorikawa's Grasshopper trigger is a simple support trigger that creates small boosting platforms, good for rogue tactics. And Yosuke has a spear Kogetsu that can redirect its blade, potentially past shields, all while the shooter Izumi is giving suppressive fire. Their hit and run tactics seem to be working well, until Ran here takes it to another level. He rains down heavy fire on the heroes, forcing them to scramble for cover, which gives him the perfect chance to isolate one of the attackers. They're alone in the hallway, Raminane being understandably
All part of
cocky
the
after
battle
overcoming
like
their
you're
offense.
talking about.
Still cocky though, because this is still their world. As such, Midorikawa uses the fire extinguisher as a smokescreen, making Raminane think he was going to
all
keep
part
up
of
the
the
same tactics as before, running to his
location,
team.
all
But
playing a
Midorikawa
factor.
calls his bluff and deals the first major blow, cutting his leg. He only uses a couple of triggers throughout the battle, but he manages to deal a major blow to an even stronger enemy. Later on in the fight, where the agents manage to put even more pressure on him due to their positioning and numbers, Raminane decides to roam in between the buildings as cover, exactly right where they wanted him. Yosuke jumps down towards Raminane, catching him by surprise, but still in firing range. By most stretches, this is where Yosuke would be instantly blown away, even if he uses a shield. Hell, even twice the basic shields everyone uses wouldn't help. But what about all of them?
Very true. Every
As I
part of
said,
the-
cooperation and ingenuity. The limitations are also mostly the same. You see, a common
Very true. Just to briefly add quickly, every person in this battle was a vital part, and if you remove any person from this battle, they would have lost, which makes it amazing. The only other series I do see this happen is Black Clover, so shout out to that as one of the best new gen power systems also. But I really want to highlight that as well.
thing with a lot of shonen power systems is that characters get this passive aura around them that shields from almost any major injury, and whoever has the bigger number takes less damage. It isn't a bad thing to incorporate, but it does run the risk of being too samey for your battle system, even though it's just an excuse for characters to survive nuclear explosions or whatever. Here's the thing though, World Trigger does not care how high your power level is. A shot to the chest is a shot to the friggin' chest. You can get stabbed, sliced up, limbs cut off, and punctured the same way as everyone else. Most of the time. Every character has access to shield and barrier triggers that can almost never surround the full body, like a passive buff. This puts more tension on the character's reaction time and the ability to predict incoming attacks. Losing limbs as often as it happens in World Trigger is also an important factor that can greatly influence how fights may go, especially when most fighters are some kind of dual wielder. It feels way more tense because we know that one false move, one half-ass misplay, and it's over. This ups the tension and keeps fights balanced. And honestly, I think that's the best word to describe this system. Triggers are perfectly balanced, just like their fights. They're limited in the right ways, balanced in the right places, and always finds great creative usage of abilities within that scope. Most importantly, it's just really fucking cool. I can't wait to tell you all about it. Oh, you thought I was done? Buddy, this series deserves all the spotlight it can get, and I'm bringing that. It does. Stay tuned.
We'll end it there. Very, very good video. I do really love World Trigger, and it's definitely like a top 20 anime for me, and it's just so underrated. It's one of the few animes I've watched more than twice, and I've also caught up the manga. It is so good. If you really love Power Shonen or Battle Shonen, which has teamwork, collaboration, and they're not basic X is stronger, so X wins. But if you want more diversity, skill, and kind of like battle tactics being used, I'll always recommend World Trigger as one of the best. This and Maggie are two of the most underrated power systems and anime you can definitely watch. And one day we'll do a Maggie video, but I really want to highlight World Trigger as such a great show and a even greater power system. But that was the video for today. Apologies if I was pausing too much. This series is something I can talk about so much. I know like the back of my head. With such a diverse crew, a diverse cast, every character is so memorable. Maybe not every character, but the vast majority all have something to contribute to the story, whether it's their dialogues, interactions, skill set, moves. Every character can always remain relevant purely because the power system is one that enables everyone to be relevant. Whether you're supporting, whether you're distracting, hit and run tactics, sniping, up close melee, dual fighting, guarding, tanking. Even the support characters, there's something everyone contributes to the battlefield, which makes every character relevant, and that's just a testament to such a great power system. Where it may inherently seem like it limits and restricts them because of how fixed it is. But when you strip back the layers, you see how diverse and how open it is, where the slightest difference in combinations and all our battlefields dynamics has effect on who wins the fight. Amazing. And that's what I would personally look for in a great power system. And that's why I love this power system. This is Trigger and Triumphs. But yeah, that was the video, guys. Apologies again for all the pauses. I do love this series. But if you have any other series you want me to check out, let me know. I'm always willing to check out new anime. Granted, I have watched must have watched over 500 anime by now, but let me know in the comments below. But that's the video for me. Like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, ciao.